Welcome, viewers, to this special podcast for the organizer. And today we are so proud to host Vishal Batra, who is a professional banker and in the financial services industry for the last 28 years. But one look at his face and the name will tell you that he's the proud brother of Captain Vikram Batra, Sher Shah, the Param Vir Chakra awardee, someone who we are all extremely proud of. Welcome, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Preeti.
It was such an honor to host you on this podcast, especially because you have now come out with this book on your life with your brother, Yeh Dil Maange More.
Yeah,
This was the line that is made famous not by the jingle of this these
Pepsi ad.
words, yeah,
Yes,
but because our own Vikram Batra used this like the Buddha smiled.
absolutely.
This
Yes.
was it. And we are extremely proud, though, Vikram's loss hurts a lot. Everybody feels, everybody who has been through the Kargil War, watched it, read about it, everybody feels that, oh, if we had only not lost our hero.
Yeah,
But then, on the other hand, it's because of brave hearts like him that we are, as a nation, still a sovereign,
Yeah.
safe, independent country.
true.
So I must thank the Batra family, your
you
mum
so
and
much.
dad, for having brought up boys like you,
Thank you so
who
much.
was so patriotic, who gave their all so that the rest of us may live in peace.
Thank you so much.
Let us talk about Vikram and your childhood because your book is a lot about the journey of the brothers. Because Vikram, the hero, we have, read and heard amply about in films and different documentaries and other articles.
Ji.
But as a brother and as the boy, the Batra boy, whatever memories you have put a lot of them in this book, though I'm sure there were a plethora of that have missed
Yes.
for brevity. But let us know about how it was growing up with Vikram.
First of all, thank you so much, Keerti, for having me here. And thanks to the organizer group for inviting me over for this podcast. Our childhood was, I think, one of the most beautiful, as a twin siblings we could have aspired for. Our mom was our first teacher. So you can actually think of that. We never did a schooling where, you used to have a pre-nursery or a nursery. It was, the year fifth when we straight away got into class one. And you can think of the mother being the first teacher, right? So the initial, what do you call as a nascent, stage of your life when you were just born and you were just small kids, 4 year, 5 year. She being the first teacher, we used to get a lot of spanking because one, we were very naughty boys, right from the day one, and we were four siblings. So a working lady, my father was a principal, my mom was a teacher. So for a lady to manage four kids, right, and two of them being the youngest in the lot of the four, we had a childhood which used to be full of laughters, full of early challenges of the life because we had limited means, right? The inculcation of the habits that we have to do something bigger in life because we were very small town boys. So I think those ethics and those principles were shared, by parents. And me and Love, used to, be
Love
very...
is Vikram.
Love is Vikram and I'm Kush.
Kush is you.
So that's our nickname because my mom was a disciple of Lord Rama and that's the way she named us Love and Kush. And, we never felt that we needed to have a company outside, because we used to walk into the school together. We never had the luxury of a bicycle also during those days. Forget about a scooter or a car, not even a bicycle. So we used to walk around close to, 3 odd kilometers. So you're carrying those schools.
Pahadi area?
Yes, of course. This was a small village called Chauntara in district Mandi, right? While, we lived in Palampur, but mom and dad were posted there in Chauntara. And you can think of that, you carrying your, the school bag on your back. But let me tell the audience that, we were brought up in an environment where we used to write those fattis. वो ऐसा होता था कि एक फट्टी मिलती थी, उसके ऊपर गाची होती थी एक. It used to be something like a yellow color. आप उसको clean करते थे with a black ink. और वो आपकी pencil नहीं होती थी, कलम होती थी.
Okay.
जो bamboo stick से बनती थी.
जी.
So whatever homework we used to get, we used to go and, come back home, clean up the fatti, then put a gachi on that, which is, jisko aaj ki date mein, the people use it as a facial called the multani mitti.
Wow.
Right. And then, with that multani mitti, you keep it in the sunlight to get it dried. And then you take a kalam, which is used to be made of a bamboo stick with the ink, and then you used to do homework. Right. So those were our childhood. So wherein I believe the right sanity of, what you really wish to do in terms of the bigger dreams, that got inculcated there. So wo homework ikatthe karna. Then you used to go out, and we had a very limited time from dad, because dad was a bit more strict in terms of the study, that you'll get only 2 hours to study and 2 hours to play. So unless you don't study, you don't go out and play. Right. We never had those luxuries of those large stadiums or the small clubs where one could really go and pursue. So that was the kind of the childhood which brought us, very, very close with each other. Right. And the only sport we could ever do until we were in class, I would say 5th or 6th, before we got into English medium school, because that was a Hindi medium school, was only kabaddi and kho-kho and a sprint of 100 meter or 200 meter.
But so good, no?
Right. So I think, I think, when you look back into those days, you wonder, I think those were the days which made us what, we could really achieve in life, whatever little I could achieve. And, of course, Vikram went on to become a Sher Shah for the country. But for me, those memories are so fresh that whenever I look back, and honestly sharing with the audience, that whenever I go to my hometown, Palampur, and whenever in Palampur, a lot of times I make an effort to go to that village, Chontara, and I generally visit that school building where we brought up.
Okay.
It used to be a very small
They
hut.
must be having a memorial kind of thing for Vikram over there.
No, candidly, not many people knew it there. But once I went down, I went down to that school after a gap of almost 20 years. I had to tell myself that I've studied from this school, and they of course, they knew Vikram. Vikram has become a Sher Shah. So the principal and the teacher, they hugged me. They got students together. Ki aapne wo movie dekha hai. But I got very nostalgic that this was the environment where we were born, and I think that environment played a lot of, gave us a lot of character.
Our first corridors of school make us what
Absolutely,
we are.
yes.
First 7 years especially.
Absolutely, yes.
And I also read in your book about your mum doing the sanskar of teaching you all about the heroes of India.
Yes. So as I mentioned, that since mom was the first teacher, and as I mentioned that we were in Hindi school, so पहली क्लास से लेके 5वीं क्लास तक मम्मा ही टीचर होती थी. School में mama, and once you come back home, you have mom and dad. Dad was a professor of the zoology, right? So generally, whatever, in the evening when we used to sit, we used to do our homework. And of course, we were nasty kids. We never used to go to sleep early. So mom used to, share, and mom and dad used to share those stories of, Maharana Pratap, Chhatrapati Shivaji. And, it then began in there. And then, of course, when we moved to Palampur, then the beautiful episode of the Param Vir Chakra as a serial happened, and it, I think somehow, got totally embedded into the minds. The Fauji serial, the Param Vir Chakra series.
And your Nanaji also was into the army.
So I have never spoken about it, but since I've revealed it through my book. So the first interaction of a Fauji was our Nanaji. Nanaji was a Subedar in the Indian Army, right? And incidentally, since we were studying in Chontara, we were living there, our summer vacations used to be at our Nanaji's house in Palampur. So Palampur typically used to be a summer home for us, right? And during those days, in the army, Kirti, I don't know how many people would know it, there never used to be a combat or a camouflage. It used to be a khaki dress. So our first interaction was that we had seen Nanaji's in a khaki uniform with those long shorts, not even the full trousers, right? And he used to go to the cantonment, and when we used to go for a summer vacation, he used to take us to the cantonment. We used to feel very happy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, another, one of our cousins, he's a serving brigadier, and we were in class, I think 8th, if I remember it, 87, 88. And his name is Brigadier Sandeep Bunny Singh. And Bunny Bhai is an ex-NDA, and he was undergoing training at Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. He was a gentleman cadet, and he's a Masi's son. And incidentally, when we went down for again a summer vacation in the month of May, and since we knew that Bhaiya is in the IMA Dehradun, we were awe-inspired by looking at the entire Chetwood building. And somewhere that thing came into the mind, despite the fact we had a school wherein environment was entirely that we studied from a Kendriya Vidyalaya later on after, moving out from Chontara to Palampur. But I think those seeds were definitely, as you mentioned, my Nanaji was one, and then Sunny Bhaiya, the moment we looked at the IMA, the splashing lawns, the facilities, the Chetwood building, and Bhaiya took us through a complete round of the IMA. So that got still embedded. It's one of the most
professional armies in the world, It's one of those most revered armies in the world.
Couldn't have agreed more.
Indian army has not a blotch on it.
Absolutely, yes.
And it is something to aspire to get into those
And it's in reality,
Foreigners.
during our school days also, we never used to have that wide an information available on the net. We never had the internet, to be candid. I think the net came in when we were in class
Yeah,
12th, right?
correct.
The only limited source of information was that you have the friend circle around and you get to know कि आपने life में क्या करना है. Right. But then I think the God, wanted it this way that we were brought up later in the environment of the 87 Mount Brigade, the same cantonment where our Nanaji was posted last. So you can think of that there was a time when we used to visit Nanaji, and then you end up in the same school, which is in the same cantonment where Nanaji was posted.
Wow.
And I think that the God, the destiny wanted
When
it
did
this way.
Nanaji pass away?
He passed away in 1980 or 81.
Okay, so he did not live long enough to see Vikram
Yes.
in the
No.
olive greens.
Yes.
That would have been lovely,
Yes.
actually.
Yes.
No?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And also, hats off to your mum, yeah. She single handedly brought, with your dad moving around a lot,
Yes.
your mum was the force in your life.
Yes.
And sanskar बहुत important होते हैं. And one child is a brat enough now to manage twins is like, and that too two younger boys. Huh?
Yeah.
You had two elder sisters, right?
Two elder sisters, yes. I'm the youngest one. Of course, we were twins. I'm younger to him by 14 minutes.
Yeah.
But we're four siblings, and thanks to both mom and dad. But, also I think there was sense from the teaching profession, those basic courtesies of the life, you're right, जो आप संस्कार बोल रहे हो इसको मैं, which is the right terminology rather, but brought in right from the day one that you have to respect elders, you have to respect seniors, you have to be very honest, human being, right? You have to have very simple living. Because anyhow, as I mentioned, that we never had those luxuries. The pay scales were very limited. We could see those challenges in the life that, एक pencil भी मिलती थी जब तक वो pencil बिल्कुल last तक खत्म नहीं होती थी. We never used to get a second. And I'm sure it would happen with most of the people of our age.
Most of us,
right?
yes.
But I think that also brought a lot of responsibility or
Very
a
true.
sense of understanding life from a very different perspective right from the early days of life.
You're so right. That use and throw culture, single use, disposables.
It was not there.
Is really not something good.
We couldn't even have afforded that during those days.
Yeah. And then what happened? How did the idea to get into the army come to the two boys?
So that happened.
I also read a lot about Sandhu,
yes.
a common friend of you two brothers.
So I'll take you back to 1988, when we moved into Palampur. We got into Kendra Vidyalaya, Palampur. And Palampur used to be a brigade during those days. It was 87 Mount Brigade. Palampur is a 39 Div headquarter now. I'm a Fauji in a non-uniform. So when we ended up in Kendra Vidyalaya, Palampur, during those days it was very difficult to get admission into KV because generally it used to be only for the kids of the defense kids, right? And it just happened that it was an open competition once, and unfortunately we couldn't make it in the KV Palampur, but we made into another KV which was closer by at a distance of around 15 odd kilometers from Palampur, is Kendra Vidyalaya Yol Cant. Yol used to be a div during those days. Now Yol is a headquarter for 9 Corps.
And Yol stands for, you have explained in the book.
Yeah, Young Officers Living. Yol stands for the Young Officers Living.
Since the British time.
Since the British time. That cantonment was since the British time, and this cantonment came as Yol, Young Officers Living Cantonment. And we got into the KV Yol. And after 2 months, we took a transfer to Kendra Vidyalaya, Palampur. And as the luck would have it again that, when we got into school, the entire environment was only olive green, nothing beyond the olive green. We had classmates from, the son of somebody, son of a brigadier, somebody's the son of a colonel, somebody's the son of a, lieutenant colonel. And think of that Vikram used to sit with a boy called Yadvendra Singh Mankotia.
Okay.
And Yadvendra was the son of a colonel. And I used to sit with a guy called Arvind Khimta. Arvind was the son of a brigadier. So while Yadvendra went on to choose his career in the private sector, but Arvind Khimta is a serving brigadier who's doing his NDC in Delhi now. Right? And that was the environment. So all our circle was there, and we used to come back to home, go back again in the evening to play. Again, olive green. So those last 6 years of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 5 years in fact, was only in the forces, right? Only forces around olive green, Jonga, the 1 tons, 2 tons, 3
You've
tons.
explained about the Jonga.
I've
also,
explained everything in the book,
Jodhpur,
right?
Yeah.
So Jabalpur Ordnance Factory, right? So I think it got embedded that you don't have another career which you can choose for. One. Also, on account of that, the quality of the life, what we saw with those friends was outstanding, right? The discipline, the camaraderie, right? The way of living, right? The officer-like qualities.
Brotherhood.
The brotherhood.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting you here now.
Yes.
But this brotherhood was amply seen when Vikram rescued Naveen at the cost of his own life.
Absolutely, yes.
Even Naveen ji in a long ago interview told us,
Yeah.
I live because of him. He rescued me and he's no more.
I'll tell you, in fact, if
He
you go
cries.
to
Naveen ji cried.
Yeah, I know. In fact, if you go to Naveenji's house, he's got a big portrait of Vikram in the drawing room. And his daughter's name is Savera, if I can recollect it. And Savera gifted me a very beautiful poem, what she'd written in this poem. She said that had it been not for Vikram uncle, I wouldn't even have been born. Right. So the environment was like the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the discipline, right? The love, for each other as a family. I think, it just happened. And then, of course, we went on to DAV College, Chandigarh. Again, we got some, I think we had a group with almost close to around 10, 15 odd people, all army brats, right? And that's where Sandhu happened. Sandhu was a fourth generation. His father was a third generation officer. And Sandhu became a very close pal. And then, Sandhu went to NDA. And then Sandhu became a permanent feature of our life together. And of course, Sandhu was one of the closest friends of Vikram. Right. And it just happened. So one is that you dreamed for it. The Param Vir Chakra serial, the Fauji serial, the Nana Ji, my own cousin, Brigadier Sandeep, Bani Bhaiya, jinko hum bolte hain pyar se, right? It all happened, I think.
Mum didn't have the jitters when both the sons were going for the army.
Not at
aspiring.
all. Not at all.
दोनों में से एक जाओ, एक रुको.
No, not at all. I think I must give it to my mom and dad that since, as I mentioned, we had limited means, dad was very open to us that both of you have to find your way. Whatever career you would decide, we'll support you. And the only thing he used to tell us that I can spend money on your education, but don't expect me that tomorrow you're coming back to me, you've done nothing in life and tell me to open up a shop for you for 5 lakh rupees of a loan. I'll not do that for you guys. That used to be very, very clear, right? And you can think of that, yes, we went for our first SSB together. And in fact,
tell me about that, na?
So it just happened that we both clicked our written examination, and incidentally, we also got the same center. I mentioned that in the book also. That
both your names being same like name.
Same like, तो हम क्या करते थे, हमारा जब application भी जाता था, हम एक ही envelope में डाल के भेजते थे ताकि आगे पीछे आए, right? And incidentally, we were Vikram and Vishal. So even in the school, roll number is alphabetically. So Vikram Vishal, V is the last. You'll never get a name from a X or a Z, right? So last roll numbers hote the. So whatever competitive examination we used to write, we used to send our application in a single envelope. And it just happened. I think that happened, of course, because UPSC would have a rule. We didn't know that how it happened, but we got the same center. And we reported in a gap of 1 day. And we were, talking to each other during those 4 days of the Service Selection Board interview.
Very intensive, that is.
Intensive. Yeah, this used to be a 4-day intensive exercise, right? Which generally includes your psychological, your physical, your ground testing.
And there are subjects like mathematics, damn it. English.
No, that's a part of the written examination. Yes, when you appear. Yes. So you have a mathematics, English and a general knowledge test, GK test. And of course, lakhs of students used to appear. A written was never a challenge.
1% is the passing rate.
Yes.
You can lakhs that appear, barely 1% clear the written.
In fact, I was reading sometime back.
And both of you did.
Both of us did. I cleared my written thrice. I attempted thrice. But unfortunately, coming back to your question, the Vikram ended up being selected in the first shot.
You were saying you read something. You were just saying when I interrupted you something that you read somewhere that.
So I read somewhere, and it's off late. I've read that IT is one of the toughest examination. ICE is also one of the toughest. But in terms of the competition for one seat, the maximum number of candidates compete in the defense services examination. So you get one selection out of 1,000 people who compete for one chair. Or one seat, I would say, rather, in comparison to an IIT where you'll have close to one competition against 700, right? So that's the time when I realized, it's that tough to get into the forces. During of course, our times, we didn't know this. But now, with so much of information available, you read that and you take pride. And when the result also came out, Vikram was ranked. I have that newspaper cutting also. I'm not able to place whether Vikram was ranked 28th in the country or 32nd in the order of merit also. Right. So I think that went on to prove that what he had the capability. That was 1996.
Okay. So both the boys were 21, 22?
21. We just completed 21. 21 years and a few months.
Still boys,
Still boys, yes.
And then where did Vikram go? Where did you go?
So Vikram went on to join the academy, Indian Military Academy in Dehradun. And I unfortunately was not selected. So I was not prepared for any other competition, to be very honest. As I mentioned, that the only dream we had was forces. there was no preparation for something like a CAT or an IIT, nothing like this. So I had to settle in for MBA in the Institute of Management Studies at HP University, Shimla. So while I was doing my master's, so I again went down for my second attempt to Bhopal, the Sultania Infantry Lines Center, Bhopal. Unfortunately, again not recommended. Vikram was already had done two rounds, two terms of his IMA days, and the third attempt, I again got selected. I got a call from Bangalore, the Center Service Selection Board, Bangalore. But incidentally, I couldn't attend. I cleared my written, and by that time, Vikram was graduating, and I'd already done my 1.5 years of MBA. And then in army, then you get to know that the age really matters a lot. That what age you get in the army, right? And then Vikram also told me, "Don't worry, you can take an attempt later." I did my MBA and of course got into the private sector, and that's where the journey for him went on to do into the forces side.
That lovely anecdote about you meeting Vikram at Nizamuddin when he was coming back from the commando training. Please tell us.
So see, see that's something which is very close to my heart, and I always get very emotional when I talk about it because that was the last embrace. I never thought that I'll never get a chance to meet Vikram again. I was posted in Delhi working for Tata Finance, and Vikram was coming back from his commandos. I had just learned how to drive a car, and the only mode of communication with us was those letters, and we used to write a lot of letters to each other, right? क्योंकि आपका एक ड्रीम था अपने इकट्ठे फौज करनी थी. We had those dreams that one day he'll become a brigadier, I'll become a colonel or a brigadier. We'll do this. We will have kids. Our kids will do like this. But unfortunately, I think the destiny had a different something different in store. So when Vikram was coming back from his commandos, so he had mentioned to me that since you're learning how to drive, you come and pick me in the car. And it was not my car. So as I mentioned about my cousin Bani Bhaiya, so there are also two brothers, Bani Bhaiya and Sunny Bhaiya. So Sunny Bhaiya, had a Maruti, and I was posted in Delhi. So I was learning the car in the same car which Sunny Bhaiya used to drive. And I told Sunny Bhaiya ki Bhaiya Vikram is coming back, love वापस आ रहा है commando से, and I am taking your car to pick him up. He said, no worries, you keep the car with you.
Short stop he was
stopping only for a few hours. And I went down to pick him up from the Nizamuddin station, and we just hugged each other.
That thing about how you found him there.
That's so what happened is when there's a Goa Express which comes back from Belgaum, and you saw already almost close to 150 bald commandos coming out, and I was lost. Yeah, absolutely bald, completely bald, right? मैंने कहा हर जगह गंजे दिख रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है मुझे. And I was confused. What do I do? I kept on standing in the platform. Okay, he would probably see me. And immediately I get a pat on my back. And I saw a lean, thin boy in front of me. We hugged each other tightly. He got me introduced to some of his other commando cosmates. And then we went on to the place where I was staying at Lajpat Nagar in Delhi. His favorite dish for the breakfast used to be bread omelette. I cooked bread omelette. His favorite and my favorite too. So we had bread omelette. We spent around 4 hours discussing about his commando. He explained me everything because I was so inquisitive, because since I couldn't
told me long ago that they make boys out of...
Yeah, I asked him what was the best thing of the commando. He said they make you man out of a boy. That has embedded in my heart.
He had injuries and all stuff.
He had all those bruises and everything, but I think it was very normal for him. And he was proudly telling, it's a part of the course. It is nothing something out. And then, we chatted a lot. He explained me everything because he could sense my inquisitiveness, because I used to miss that olive green. I used to miss
that. This was
1999 March.
Oh.
Almost you can say now.
Just a little bit before Kargil.
27 years back. Yeah, exactly 4 months before Kargil. But we never anticipated. And of course, then I went on to...
He was just going for his posting.
He was going back to his place of posting.
But he was going to meet mom and dad on the way.
He met mom and dad on the way. And he went down to Palampur for 2 days. And from there on, he went back to his place of posting, which was Sopore in district Baramulla. So that was the last embrace, I still... that picture will never go out of my heart, which was a green rucksack bag, a scotch racket on the left side, a luggage in the hand. We hugged each other tightly. We had those slight tears also. But we never realized that would be ever the last embrace, and I would never see him physically ever again.
Yeah, you never knew that. Sopore was a hard enough terrain. And after that, Kargil War broke out. So it was from one danger zone to another escalation danger zone. So yes, your last embrace was something you will treasure throughout your life.
Yes.
And then what happened about the war? How did it break
And
out? How did you know?
so we were already, listening to a lot of news on the television about the incursions which were taking place. We'd already heard of, Captain Saurabh Kalia's news, and Saurabh Kalia incidentally
Yeah.
was 3 year junior to us in the school, right?
Oh,
We studied in the same school,
where?
Palampur, KV Palampur.
Oh,
And, then Vikram, sent a letter that he's moving to Kargil. In fact, Vikram was supposed to move to a place called Shahjahanpur in UP, and he'd mentioned in one of the letters that advanced party is already gone. Right. But then, of course, the war was taking a different shape. And from there, the entire unit was asked to go to Kargil. And after that, it was only the
were they
communication.
trained for high altitude, or was this a call of
I
emergency?
I wouldn't be able to say that they were trained, but since they were already in a highly volatile area, which was Sopore, and Sopore used to be the hotbed of terrorism, they were trained to fight and undertake those insurgency, because Vikram was already undertaking those operations as a part of CI ops while he was posted there, right?
Pakistani infiltration.
Infiltrators was
used to
very,
be-
very high in Kupwara, Sopore, Baramulla. This entire area was badly affected, right? So I'm sure he had those exposure in fighting into those terrains or jungles. But high altitude, of course, they were not acclimatized. But since they were young guys, right, and I personally believe that it was because of the young officers, average age 23, 24, right? Most of them were commissioned only for the last 2 to 3 years of their service. But they had those guts and the courage
No, but I
to,
really
to go up.
appreciate that. High altitude
Yeah.
is not something that you counter with मैं कर लूंगा कोई गल नहीं
Yes.
ऐसे नहीं
No,
होता
nothing
है.
like this.
High
Yeah.
altitude spares no one.
No
Your
one.
lungs are either made for it
Yes.
or acclimatized,
Yes.
or you just like start sinking.
Yes.
So how these boys fought at that height is really
Incredible. I'll tell you, Kirti, when I went down to those peaks, and I was lucky enough, I personally believe that I'm the blessed one that I could do the expedition to both the peaks where Vikram went.
Yeah.
I did an expedition to point 5140 where he said Yeh Dil Maange More. I did an expedition to Batra Top, which is 0.4875. Later on, it was
Batra
renamed as
Top.
Batra Top.
What a
In his
pride.
memory, right? And when I went, to those snowy peaks, and I must give it to Barkha Dutt, I'll be very honest. She was the lady who took me to Kargil for the first time. And when I looked at those mountains, as you correctly mentioned, these are very unforgiving mountains. Unforgiving means unforgiving.
And with the enemy staring at you,
With enemies staring you right at the top, 17,000 feet,
yeah, they had a
16,500
vantage,
feet.
no point.
Yes, yes. And when you look at those peaks and realize,
Sitting
had
duck.
it been not sitting ducks, had it been not for these young, courageous officers, I don't know what would have happened.
Vikram was ill the particular night after that first assault and return.
Yes.
He was unwell. We were running very high fever,
Fever,
and his boss
yes.
told him not to go.
Yes, yes, yes. He wanted to. He said that he was a part of the reserve force, and since he was unwell, he was a reserve force, and he volunteered. He told his CEO that he would like to be along with his fellow soldiers, right, with fellow men, and that's where he took a plunge of going up, and he moved up. I still have his letter with me, which was written on 5th of July, and he mentions that I'm ready to go up for another offensive action. He never used to write the name of the place because of security,
Yeah.
but he did mention that I'm up and ready for the second attack, second mission rather. He had mentioned that.
That is the protocol.
Yeah.
No, they never let you know where they are stationed.
No, they don't. He
where
never
they-
disclosed
What
anything.
are their missions?
Not at
Nothing.
all. Not at all.
They'll just give you vague. Were you not worried?
Uh,
Since he was in
the-
the thick of war, I hope my brother, Housey, that must have been a very
honest-
tense time.
Honestly, no, it was definitely a very, very tense tense times, because most of the time we were glued to the TV, because you were listening to the news every day. One coffin is coming, another coffin is coming. You heard the news of Captain Saurabh Kalia, and since I mentioned that Saurabh was a junior in the school by 3 years, your own schoolmate, you would say rather, while he was junior, right? You had seen him growing. We used to play together, some cricket matches in the local stadiums or whatever.
Horrible. Sorrow.
And the moment you heard of Saurabh Kalia, थोड़ा सा jitter हुआ था. I'll be very honest.
Yeah.
Maybe not consciously, but subconscious mind में था कि I hope that you don't get the news.
No, they were not ethical, no, the Pakistani army.
Yes.
They were not ethical. What they did to Sarv Kalia is like they brutalized him and then
Yes.
after the death also mutilated his body
Yes.
and then sent it back. I mean, that even
No,
animals don't do
that
that.
doesn't call of the army ethos at all, right?
Yeah.
It was
And
very,
they
very
even
unfortunate.
disowned their own Northern Light infantry soldiers and we had to tell them, take your boys back. No, they are not ours.
Yes. So see, that's the reason, when you're mentioning about the ethos of the Indian Army, look at, and I remember the last peak was 4875. After that, the war had got over. Then the commanding officer, Colonel, Y.K. Joshi, who later on, grew to the rank of the Northern Army Commander, Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi. They did all the final rites with full traditions and of the Pakistani guys.
Yeah.
Right. Coming back to that question, so we had those jitters somewhere subconsciously that you don't get the news because you were hearing the news of coffins coming around every day, right? We lost almost close to 527 officers, right? It was a battle which was fought over for some 60 odd days. I mean, 10 casualties per day you were listening about, right? Almost 1,300 got wounded. So you can think of 2,000 people, right? So you had subconsciously, but after the first capture, when he came back to the ground, when he radioed the famous punchline "Yeh Dil Maange More" after the first mission at 5140, तब थोड़ा confidence था कि नहीं, now he's going to be back.
And there also he's crediting his boys.
Yeah, there also, and I remember, one of the interviews he said, and I think I don't know who was the interviewing officer. I think it was Star Channel, Star News. And they said, what is the biggest victory? He said, I went up with the 6 men. I came back with the 6 men is my biggest victory. I didn't lose a men, right?
Yeah.
So I think that also speaks volumes about his leadership, the way he was leading and commanding.
True.
So we had those slight jitters after, we heard of...
Mom and dad were far away.
Mom and dad were in Palampur. I was posted in Delhi. One of the Didi was in Mandi and the Didi was in Delhi. So me and one of my sisters...
All worrying separately in their own quarters.
Yeah. I used to be in the office during the day, but fortunately we had the television in the office. And entire my colleagues, I was working for Tata Finance. Whole of the colleagues knew that my twin is fighting the war in Kargil. So everybody used to ask me daily, koi letter aaya, koi khabar aaya uska ki nahi aaya, right? Everybody was worried. Because we were a very small team of 200 odd people only in the office.
Identical twin. He's like 14 minutes
elder to me. Yeah,
I heard you say Vikram Bhaiya.
No, we used to call each other Love and Kush. प्यार से lovely कुशली बोलते होते थे.
But sometimes you do mention when you talk.
Vikram Bhai. Yeah, we used to call Vikram Bhai. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Then when the final assault happened, how did the news come back home? Because the protocol is that they will not break the news unless the parents or the family hear it. You know?
Yes. So that just happened that, one of the officers along with another fellow soldier reached Palampur. So generally, the protocol is that the news will go down. They don't make it public immediately. Of course, you're very right. The news travels from the army headquarters to the local cantonment. And whosoever is the senior most officer in that cantonment, he's briefed first and then, officer along with another fellow soldier visits the house. It happened exactly in the same fashion that, one of the gypsies came back, in Palampur, from the cantonment to, our home in Palampur. And they knocked the door, but the moment mom was there, dad was not there at home. The moment the mom saw the army gypsy with an officer on 8th of July, that because we lost him on 7th of July, we got the news on 8th of July.
Yeah.
So mom could sense that why out of the blue in the thick of the war, the army gypsy is coming when nobody else.
But they wouldn't tell your mom.
They didn't tell mom. They waited for dad to come. And of course, when dad came in, mom did mention that, one of the officers along with this fellow soldier had come over. They'll be coming back in the next half an hour.
Then also he went in to pray.
He went into the prayer room in the house. We had a very small house. And he just hoped that everything is fine. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be.
Hoping that maybe it's just missing in action.
Hope against hope, I would say rather.
Hoping probably that he's just missing in action or injured.
Yes.
Etc. Couldn't he be saved? Like, was he too far off to be saved? Did he die instantly? What happened?
So it was, it was a flat ledge and it was the last peak. And the drawback of this ledge was it was a very flat ledge, right? It was not something like a peak like this. It was a flat ledge and it was a very narrow ledge which had a width of, it was I think 15-20 meters long and with a width of only 1 meter. And what I heard from his fellow comrades, the other officers, and incidentally, I ended up doing an expedition to this peak, right? So when I also landed up there, so the bunker was on the other side of the ledge, and the firing was coming from that side. Right. So somebody had to really, take a plunge
Scale
of jumping down to the other side. And I think that's where Vikram thought that, when Lieutenant Naveen was injured, because Naveen was, on the action up, and a grenade came, which fell, on his foot, and he was grievously injured, and Vikram pulled him back. Then Vikram thought that somebody will have to take a plunge, because you don't fire from one side, you fire from, 2 or 3 sides. And I think that's the time when Vikram thought, the only choice I have is to go straight. And what I got to know is that he got onto the ledge, went firing. He got into a close combat with, he killed, 5 of them.
With a bayonet, I believe.
With a hand-to-hand combat, I would say rather. But there was a sniper. He didn't realize that there was another bunker on the left side, I believe. And I think he was shot from a point-blank range of 5 meters. And he died instantaneously. Because a splinter also came which hit his stomach, and then was a sniper. So he got a hit by a sniper on his chest. He fell there.
How did mom and dad handle the news?
It was difficult, Kirti. It was not easy for any one of us, right?
Yeah,
because he had just
totally.
graduated. It was less than 2 months of his service. It was 24.
Yeah.
Right. You still had those dreams
Brutally short.
Yeah. So it was difficult, my both sisters were carrying it. My one sister was 5th month of pregnancy. The second sister was 8th month of a pregnancy. It was a tough time for all of us, not to believe.
You were far off.
I was in
closer.
Delhi. Yeah, no, I was far off. I was in Delhi, and Delhi to Palampur used to take almost close to 13 hours of drive.
Oh God.
13 घंटे की journey होती थी. Of course, सबसे बड़ी दीदी जो सीमा दीदी, she was the closest one, because she was at Mandi, which generally used to take, during those days, it used to take around 4 hours.
Right. So she rushed first.
She was the first one to reach mom and dad. She was immediately, the 8th ko afternoon when we got the news, she reached in the 8th evening itself. So me and my friends, a very, very dear friend of mine, Atul Monga and Pranay Narang, 2 of us, along with my cousin Situ Bhaiya, Sunny Bhaiya, we all gathered together along with Nutan Didi. We reached the next day afternoon.
The other Didi also came.
Aditi, of course, she had to. She wanted to pay the final respect.
They were pregnant also.
Both of them were carrying, yeah.
And then one suffered shock.
Yeah, one of my sisters, she underwent a miscarriage. जो बड़ी दीदी है मंडी में.
Oh, for elder sisters, younger brothers are more like sons.
Yes. And the second didi, she delivered a baby next month, baby girl. But then you always don't want to go back to those days. The reason is it was very tough, and it was very.
You know what? I know it's very painful to you. Why I'm asking this is, though I hate putting you through this pain. I also want the viewers to know, a lot of the youth these days say very, very silly things. Some about the army, some about taking the independence for granted, the democracy for granted. They don't even know the cost of war that families have to, suffer.
True.
To keep your country independent and sovereign and, free from all this. Our army never messes with the politics.
Absolutely, yes.
So, all this has to come out. So, I'm very sorry, Vishal, if I may sound brutal in making you revisit those very painful corridors. But our young generation has no idea.
I'll tell you, Kriti, it's such a wonderful thing you're mentioning that. Only answer I could give is that, the peace is never free of cost, number one. Number two, the people have to realize that if we're breathing freely today, right? I can only tell that one, if gets a chance, should actually visit, and I call Dras and Kargil as a pilgrimage. You have to actually go down to see what the army does for us. Right? Today we were talking when we initiated the discussion that Indian Army is one of the best armies in the world. You know why? Because we live freely because of the sacrifice of the men in the uniform. Because they also have somebody back home, either in the form of a parent or a wife or a father or a son or a brother who's waiting. Right? And when I actually visited Kargil, I realized that, oh my God, these are the peaks, these are the unforgiving mountains, the treacherous peak where our army is fighting for our safety, for the safety of this country, for the integrity and sovereignty of our motherland. So I personally believe that all those people who put a comment, they should visit those pilgrimages, I would say, rather, whether it's insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir, whether it's Dras, Kargil, or Galwan, you should go and see, one should visit and see. Life is not possible. You fighting the war in a minus 25, minus 30. Dras is the second coldest inhabited place in the world. Everything freezes there during winters. Right? We have each of these posts, whether it is Batra top or a 5140, which is called as a gun hill now, right? Or all of these peaks, Three Pimples, the Flat Ledge, the Rhino, the Tiger Hill. Go and look at the post. The army is sitting there. What for? For all of us.
Somebody I knew went on a bike ride in Leh Ladakh.
Yes.
And just climbing up to a particular height, suffered such massive
Heart attack.
breathlessness
Yes.
all that he had to be rushed down.
Yes.
And only after they left the altitude and came
True.
down could his oxygen supply be removed, and then he came to normal.
No life.
So I appreciate the way these boys went.
Absolutely, yes.
And like they hit the ground running.
Yes. They hit the ground running.
And then also that, look at the countries around us. Look
Yes.
at what Pakistan is doing army-wise.
Yeah.
The army has the nation, not
Yeah.
the Pakistan
Yes.
doesn't have an army.
Yes. Yes.
Same thing with Bangladesh, same
Yeah.
thing with Sri Lanka, same thing with Myanmar, same thing with so many nations. Look around us to appreciate the Indian army and its professionalism.
I am with you 100%, couldn't have agreed more. And that's the reason I said that the respect what the army deserves. I think it's a right of every citizen of India to give that respect to the forces, be it Indian Army, be it Indian Air Force, be it Navy. See, end of the day, we're surrounded by a whole lot of. I don't wish to get into debate of a different type, but we are surrounded by those countries wherein we also know that what risk or what threat we can have as a country.
True.
Right? And had it been not for the Indian armed forces, the army, the navy, the air force, the other forces like a border security
by
force,
India, we
IDBP,
mean in the
all
entire
other
defense.
central armed police forces. It is incredible that we have such lovely forces in the world, one of the best and most respected forces in the world. Look at the Kargil War is even the US said that I think what Indian army did in Kargil, no army in the world could ever do it. Fighting the war at 17,000 feet. This is the war which has been fought in the highest peaks, the highest altitude warfare, right? Not easy.
Had we lost Turtuk and all that area, Kargil, we would have also lost access to Siachen Glacier.
Look at the entire peak of Tololing and Mashko Valley where the entire Leh highway is visible. You have a 45-kilometer stretch one could see clearly. I was there to witness this. I climbed 5140. I did an expedition on my foot. And let me tell you my experience. When I was moving up, I took 3.5 hours to climb 7 kilometers. Every 200 meters, I was taking an oxygen cylinder I could breathe easily. Fortunately, I had a good fitness, so I could climb, right? But when I was on the peak, Kirti, I'll tell you, when I looked down, at that point of time, as a civilian, I'm not a man in the uniform. I love army. The army runs in my blood, right? The olive runs in my blood. But honestly, for the audience, I realized when I was on the peak looking downhill, you see nothing. And if you fall, even if your foot slips, you don't even know which side of the valley you would go and fall. Whether you're falling, to the POK side or you're falling to the Indian side. And that's where our men, young men, soldiers, officers, they were fighting the war. What for? For all of us.
I recall Vikram's footage after having taken the first hill. He's in those army fatigues and the uniform. And look at him and you know this man has not rested for
He was
many
looking
days.
very tired. He was looking very tired.
tired.
Very tired.
He is tired, but he's still got that josh in him. And he's talking of more.
You see, you remember one of his interviews, when he was displaying that the heavy machine gun, what they'd captured,
they got a lot of ammo.
A lot of ammunition they captured, and when he was briefing the media, and of course, we must admire that, the entire country got together. They were sending a whole lot of stuff for the men. And, Vikram said in the interview that I'm very proud that, the entire country is united. They're sending a lot of stuff to all of us for the forces. But let me tell you, the Indian army is self-sufficient to take care of its men. Matlab, whenever I look at his interview today also, because that's one of the interviews which is still there with us, I always think of that what maturity had he got into.
Yeah.
At
young
24, telling that, he's gone up with 6, he came back with 6. Indian Army is doing a fantastic job. And he also says that कि जिन वीर बहादुरों की शहादत हुई है, मेरी संवेदना उनकी फैमिलीज के साथ में है, without even knowing that he's not going to be back after a few days.
Yeah.
मैं आज भी उसके इस इंटरव्यू को देखता हूँ जब बोलता है कि मेरी संवेदना उन वीर बहादुर सैनिकों के साथ है जो यहाँ शहीद हुए हैं और वो देश के लिए ही शहीद हुए हैं. विक्रम ये बोल रहा है एग्जैक्टली 26 या 27 जून को, एंड आफ्टर 10 days he doesn't come back.
He wrote 4 letters to you from there.
He wrote 4 letters to me from there.
And in that also he had messages for everybody. मम्मी को ये बोलना, दीदी को ये बोलना, पापा को ये बोलना.
That was the beauty of Vikram, that he was, कहते हैं ना, वो यारों का यार था. वो बहुत, he was very loving, a very very loving soul, I would say. And you so correctly mentioned, he used to write, give my love to Sunny Bhaiya, Bunny Bhaiya, Situ Bhaiya, all his friends, Nippy, Sandhu, right, everyone around, Dimple, mom and dad, Didi, Jiju, every letter. I don't think they would, out of the 4 letters, not even one letter where he would not have mentioned that I'm doing well here. I don't know when I'm going to be back. मेरी छुट्टी अभी cancel हुई है, right? But then, while fighting in the middle of the war, also he was always concerned that everything is good back home.
Yeah.
Right.
Sending all happy tidings. He's facing bloody bullets.
Yeah.
And facing death looking at it in the eye.
तो उसमें उसने एक लाइन लिखी हुई है, every day facing hell lot of bullets and RT shells, but the Indian Army is doing a fantastic job. Right, so when I look at this, so I also used to wonder sometimes कि एक जगह वो bullets के साथ खेल रहा है.
I know, exactly. Holy थोड़ी है भाई.
And he's also making, taking some humor out of it.
Yeah.
कि रोज आ रहा है, bullet मिल रहा है. But
basically it's like a very...
It talks about the character.
Exalted Atma who knew what he was facing,
Yeah.
but he didn't want to transfer that fear to you.
Yeah.
And so he was letting you know of the situation, but minus the fear.
So you're right. It's also, I think it's also the display of that character because he's leading a team. And being a leader.
He was not afraid,
Yeah,
but he didn't want you to be afraid
Yes,
either.
yes. He doesn't want us to be afraid also.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's like painting it like and just another event.
And I remember having met so many of his soldiers who fought the war with him, कि विक्रम इतना daring था कि whenever Vikram used to go and lead a mission, तो लोगों को लगता था विक्रम जा रहे हैं तो we'll go with him.
Who named him Sher Shah?
So that was a code name which was intercepted by the enemy. So what happens generally when you go in a war, so you're not supposed to give your real identity.
Okay.
Right, so somebody's a Sangram, somebody's a Chanakya, somebody's a Sher Shah. Of course, Sher Shah was
and with you friends, he was Jani.
So when we were in DAV college, Chandigarh, so क्योंकि मैं बता रहा हूँ यारों का यार था, तो उसको सब लोग प्यार से जानी बोलते होते थे.
And in the army, he was codenamed Sher Shah.
In the army, he was codenamed Sher Shah before he went for the mission. And then, of course, so generally what happens is that you're not supposed to disclose the real identity of the officer. So it was the commanding officer who gave that code name Sher Shah.
Okay.
Right.
And then how did the Pakistanis react to it? They used it.
Yeah. So what happened that, while he was on the first mission along with Captain Sanjeev Jawal, of course, the credit goes to both, Vikram and Sanjeev sir for leading the first assault and winning the .5140 back for the country. So Vikram was attacking from the eastern flank, and from the other side, Captain Sanjeev Jawal, he is a Vir Chakra, were taking the first mission 5140. So during the climb up, his the message got intercepted by the enemy, right? And then that's the time when they challenged him. वो शेरशाह कोई शेरशाह नाम रखने से कोई शेरशाह नहीं हो जाता. Don't come up or you'll have a tough time. So this was told by a Pakistani, and then of course there was a lot of verbal spat. A lot of mahabhan happened वहाँ पे, and this is what even the commanding officer told me. Right, a lot of vulgar language was exchanged, and then he said that okay, we'll see in the next 1 hour who stays on the top. And then, of course, finally, when he radioed the message to, his commanding officer, then Colonel Joshi, right, Sher Shah to Chanakya, because Chanakya was the commanding officer and Sher Shah's Vikram. So we've captured 5140 and Yeh Dil Maange More. So that's the time when, the people also got fancy that a young 24-year-old guy, and this is a very tough peak, 17,100, 200 feet, right? And you are telling that Yeh Dil Maange More means, you're still not done with the job. You still
He
have a
mentions
task.
Jamwal in the letter also, I remember.
He did mention, yes. He mentions that the first mission, which was 5140, he undertook was with Captain Sanjeev Jamwal. He was immediate senior. And of course, Sanjeev sir is a very dear friend. He's such a decorated soldier. All right. He was doing an attachment with the 13 Jack. All right. And he's
He's
posted
left
back.
such a hollow in everybody's hearts. No?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
After the funeral at Palampur, there must have been a massive janta that must have come for that.
Yeah, we had almost close to 40,000 people who had walked across from all the villages to pay the final tribute to Vikram. We placed this coffin on the Prakti Maidan, right, because that was the largest stadium of the biggest stadium of Palampur. We kept it there for almost close to 2 hours so that everybody could come and pay the last respect. Everybody was watching him. Everybody was thinking that he's going to come back.
And the war is still going on, and you've lost one major hero. Mahavir Chakra bhi to mila tha unko before he was made captain.
No. So what happened then? He was made the captain on 23rd of June. So the pipping ceremony was done by General Joshi. Then
In the warfield only.
In the warfield at point 5 and 40 only. So that's the reason we also have a beautiful picture. It's called the historic pipping ceremony. Because the pipping ceremony is done at 17,100 feet. Right? It is not done on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's called as a historic pipping ceremony because he was made a captain there. And he was one of the youngest captains to be made in the field.
Yeah.
So he was
Barely
recommended.
A few months old.
Yeah.
In the
24-year-old, right? He was recommended for a Mahavir Chakra because nobody knew that he was going to go for a second mission. And then when he went for a second mission,
the ultimate
sacrifice. And that's the time when he was awarded with the
not
Param Vir
Mahavir
Chakra.
Chakra, but the Param Vir Chakra. And the flag that the army must have given you in his honor, that's kept where?
Yes, so we have a lovely museum in our house, right?
In Palampur?
In Palampur. So we have a double-storied house. The first floor is the full museum, where the entire belongings of Vikram, I would say, right from his uniforms to his combat to his passing out dress to his Param Vir Chakra to
people come to see that.
A lot of people come during the summer holidays whenever somebody is visiting. Palampur is a lovely small hill town.
No, he has made it famous. Palampur is now synonymous with Vikram
Batra. Yes.
And what is the footfall like there generally?
Generally, we generally see around 200-250 people walking across the year. So somebody who's traveling down to Palampur is very closer to Dharamshala.
They make it a point to.
So they make it a point when they get to know Palampur, Vikram Batra. A lot of people, keep on walking.
Wow. Would love to visit it someday.
Most welcome to visit.
So then your journey continued into the finance world. And now you said Sandhu is with you also now.
So Sandhu is a very, very dear friend. And, I didn't have a choice. But since it was an unfulfilled dream, I can only say that thanks to my own organization where I work, that I do work very closely with the armed forces, right? And as I mentioned that I am always a Fauji in the non-uniform in a non-combat.
You keep visiting Batra Top and...
I keep on visiting Kargil Dras every alternate year. But I've done both the expeditions. So I did the Batra Top expedition, which is 4875 in 2019 when we were celebrating 20 years of the Kargil Vijay Divas. And I did 5140 where he said Yeh Dil Maange More. That I did as a birthday gift to Vikram when we were turning 50 in 2024.
Your mother's audio video I have seen where she's, of course, she felt the loss of that son, but very proudly says that she's proud of what her son has done. So what would you say to the youngsters who need some kind of inspiration to, go beyond the scrolling and reels and all, and then think of bigger dreams like...
See, the only message I can leave with is that, there's always a saying, nothing succeeds like success. I won't say that because that's a very common adage. I would only say that you must have a goal, right? The world and the life doesn't lie just in the digital world. It lies in the actions, what one takes. So you need to have a dream, you need to have a goal and pursue the dream and goal. It doesn't make a difference that you have to don a uniform to become patriotic. I don't believe in that, right? I was unfortunate that I wanted to become a man in the uniform. Unfortunately, I couldn't don the uniform. But I personally believe that as a human being, as a citizen of this country, that one contribution which I can give it, even in terms of cleaning my surrounding environment around, that is also a contribution which you're giving for the development of this country. So that's the way the youth should look into. And you don't have to become patriotic if I'm not
What
owning a
can you do
uniform,
for the
right?
country?
What you can
Think-
do for the country in whatever limited capacity, in whatever limited profession you're working for.
Very true.
Think at least 1% for the country. And when I say 1%, the way I look at it, Kirti, is that I'm one among the 140 crore of a population. If I do that 1 by 140th crore of a contribution to this country, I'm a good citizen for the country. So do your contribution as one part of the 140th crore population of the country. This country will go to the next level. That's the only message I can leave the people with.
I was speaking to another army hero's mother the other day, and she was saying that Vikram Batra inspired a whole generation of youngsters to take up the olive green and work for the defense forces, and a whole generation grew up inspired by these Kargil heroes.
Yeah.
Key among them being
Yes.
Vikram Batra, not to say not to steal the credit from the other heroes as
No,
well.
I personally believe
But
everyone.
yeah,
See,
all of
whether
them.
you talk of Vikram, you talk of Manoj Pandey, you talk of Vijan Thapar,
Yes.
you talk of Anuj Nayyar, you talk of all those 527 sung heroes,
Yeah, Manoj
unsung
Pandey,
heroes,
she mentioned
everyone. And Kirti, as you correctly mentioned, let me tell you, I would have met umpteen. I don't even remember the number of the officers in the olive green I met in the last 27 years who told me that we donned this uniform because of your brother. I'm very, very honest. It happens with me a lot when I meet them. It happens a lot with me that how patriotic they become when I travel down, when I'm at the airports, when I'm at the railway stations. Because being an identical twin, so many people come and recognize me. Are you Vikram's brother? Right. And the moment I look at that, he has inspired so many, generation, and people still talk about him, despite the fact it's been 27 years that we lost him. Right?
Yes.
So I believe that that's what the army teaches you. That's what the uniform brings in. Right. And that's what the sacrifice, teaches you. Right. Had it been not for a sacrifice, I don't know. Right. And I want to quote one beautiful, if I can share this story, and this is very close to my heart. So I met, so Vikram's classmates are very, very dear friends of mine. So Vikram was a part of 101 course. And I'm blessed that I'm a part of that group. They treat me like a Vikram. They see Vikram in me. They always tell me, Vishal, tu humse bhi zyada fauji hai, tu sirf uniform mein nahi hai bas, right? So this officer's name is, he's a serving brigadier. His name is Brigadier Suhas Mate. And he was, posted in Baramulla. And incidentally, I was traveling to this location once. And Suhas Bhai bolta hu unko. My Suhas Bhai had invited me for lunch. And, it just happened that, we were chatting over lunch or, of course, I was looking at his rank as a brigadier. So I was feeling very emotional. काश अगर विक्रम भी आज मेरे सामने बैठा होता तो विक्रम में ब्रिगेडियर होता. तो मैंने उनको एक वैसी क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया. मैंने कहा, सुहास भाई, इफ आई कैन आस्क यू अ स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन एंड इफ यू आर विलिंग टू आंसर यू कैन आंसर इट. ही सेड, बोल भाई. आई सेड, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव बिकम ब्रिगेडियर्स? सो उन्होंने मुझे बोला, विशाल, वी आर 42 of us who were brigadiers. So in Vikram's batch, out of 270 cadets who got commissioned in 97, 42 of them brigadiers. मैंने ना मुंह से एकदम निकला. मैंने कहा, वो what a lucky batch. You know what he answered? He said, Vikram was more luckier. He said, Vishal, the star you see here, right? Whether I'm a brigadier, tomorrow I might become a general, I might not become a general. I'll fade away. But Vikram will stay forever till the time India lives.
Yes. Forever young, forever inspiring.
And I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah, I can
Right?
understand.
And I believe me, I just hugged him. I said, boss, ये आंसर ना सिर्फ फौजी दे सकता है जो समझता है कि what is the cost of that sacrifice.
Yeah.
And he's such a lovely friend of mine. और मैंने उनको बोला कि सुहास भाई, I don't think I could have ever thought of this answer. And we were in tears. Look at, Vishal, what? I'll go one day. Nobody will remember whether Suhas retired as a brigadier or Suhas retired as a lieutenant general. Vikram will continue to live, and we take pride that we rubbed our shoulders with your brother. I don't think, it would have come without the cost of the sacrifice.
Vishal, I can feel what you're feeling. And just like your mother said very bravely, I know the kind of void she must have held in her heart
Yeah.
while exhibiting this pride. That yes, he's become eternal. He's
Yeah, he's become
become a
eternal.
symbol. He's
Yeah.
like he's a mountain now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
So no, so when you look back, and that's where the you asked me in the beginning that why this book, and that's where the thought of the book came into my mind that had it been Vikram was alive, Vikram was a brigadier, because we had those dreams somewhere. So I thought, what is the last tribute I can give before I go? Because that void will stay with me. The void will go only when I go. And hence I thought that, while people have known Vikram as Sher Shah, but people have not known the other side of Vikram as a brother, as a sibling,
Yeah.
right? Our childhood. And that's where, this very thought of penning down as a tribute. And I thought, since, Yeh Dil Maange More, which used to be a jingle of a Pepsi ad, is synonymous only with one man, Vikram Batra. And I thought, why not, give a last tribute to my brother, before I also go out of this world. So this is one tribute to a twin brother. I think I'm just blessed. That's it.
Yeah, we are all blessed. Beautiful. Actually, we could go on and on and on,
Yes, sure,
but
of
you
course,
have
yeah.
a flight to catch, and we have
They're done. Yes,
a
of
time
course.
limit.
Yes.
And it was beautiful talking
you
to
so
you
much. Same here,
and
same here.
sharing this human side, the non-Fauji side of Vikram, a boy who's a son and who's a brother.
Yes.
And sibling griefs are barely acknowledged.
Yes.
A lot of parents their grief is acknowledged, wife and children is acknowledged. Barely anyone remembers that what the sibling feels having grown up.
I'll in fact, you can edit कर लीजिएगा, but I'll read out one message for you.
No. Why edit कर लीजिएगा बताइए ना.
I'll just one second.
For the sibling, it's a part of his body gone.
This has been sent to me by a lady captain. Just, if you heard of a lady officer called Yashika Tyagi,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
She just sent me a message 4 days back. After she realized that I've written a book. So this Captain Yashika Tyagi, she sent me a message. So she was trying to, tag me up. So I'll just mention that line, what she mentioned. So she wrote a very beautiful line to me when she got to know that I've written a book on my brother. She writes, "Please accept deep gratitude from the fraternity for being the best brother Vikram could have ever hoped for."
Oh, yes. We forget that, huh,
Right?
Vishal? Seriously.
So it's not about, so it takes a lot of toll, when you talk about him, right? But then I thought, it was a dream which we had knitted
I
together.
want to give you a hug and tell you, Vishal, I know how you hurt.
So you feel that pain, feel that void.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy. But then I thought that, I personally believe that I am the blessed sibling. And I think the Vikram wanted it this way. That's the reason I think when I was trying my attempts in the SSB 3 times not being recommended, the God wanted it this way.
Yeah.
Right?
He had that path etched out for him, and he left you in charge of your mom and dad.
Yes.
Because one Batra and one Batra top is enough.
No, I always end up believing that the army never wanted a second one.
No, it is. I can feel your pain. Siblings cannot say it out because they also have to look at the parents and not enhance their grief. So siblings bottle up a lot of thought.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That is also true.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Vishal. It was beautiful
No, same here.
sharing
Love
your such close to heart thoughts. And the book, I will recommend every viewer to read this. Get to know Vikram's other side, the non-Fauji, the boy, the son, the brother. You will love it. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
And I have not raced through it. I have not tried to finish it. I savor and I move on with those pages as you describe, and it's like going through the life journey. It's very nice. It's very touching and very human.
Thank you so
Lovely.
much.
Thank you so much.